Hello, I'm Carla Schaefer, Auntie's Beads Designer, and today we're going to do some basic bead stringing. I'm going to go over the tools and the products that we'll be using. We'll be using a 49 strand beading wire in a .018 diameter. We're going to be using 2x2 crimp beads. We're going to be using a toggle clasp and a crimping tool and a nipper tool. First thing you want to do is decide the pattern of the bracelet that you would like to bead, and I'm using a bead board with a bracelet channel, and I've laid my beads out into the bracelet channel just shy of 7.5 inches, because an average size bracelet is 7.5 inches, and you want to be sure and subtract the amount that you will need for the clasp and the crimp beads. So I've laid out my beads, and now I'm going to cut wire to about 3 inches or so longer than what I want the bracelet to be. So if it's going to be 7.5 inches, I'm going to cut about 10 inches of wire. First thing we're going to do is go ahead and put the one end of the clasp on the wire using the 2x2 crimp beads. This is a better view of how to crimp the crimp beads. String a crimp on the wire, run the wire through the toggle, run it back through the crimp bead, take your crimp. Your crimp tool has 2 slots in it. It's got one at the base and then one at the tip. You want to use the one at the base first. So you lay the crimp bead in that slot and mash it until you get this little half moon shape, crescent shape. Then you turn it up sideways like this, put it in the front channel, mash it again until it folds it over. And then what I often do is we'll go back and mash it again with the very tip of the crimp tool just to make sure it's flat. This is how you crimp your bead. Next thing you're going to do is start stringing your beads on. So all you would do is just string the pattern that you've got laid out onto the wire. And the first couple of beads will cover your tail of the wire right below the crimp bead. And then you continue stringing until you get to the other end. Now that you've got most of the bracelet strung, you're just going to finish stringing the rest of the beads on, and then we're going to crimp the other end of the bracelet, and you'll have a completed bracelet. This is my last bead, and I'm going to lay it in the channel just to kind of check my measurement. I'm going to be 7.5 inches, maybe just a tad bit longer. So you can remove or add beads as needed. Next thing you'll do is you'll string on another crimp bead. Run it through the other end of the toggle. Run it back through the crimp and back through at least two beads, so you can hide your tail. Then do the same here. A neat little test is to kind of take the bracelet before you crimp the other end and kind of crinkle it up into your hand, and that makes sure that you have enough movement in your bracelet and that's not going to be too tight. And then you crimp. Again, you crimp in the channel closest to the handle first, then you turn it, put it in the end channel, and then mash it again on the end, and then trim the excess wire.